1, go.
Hello. Ignacy and Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 210. And we're recording it on September 29th, very late, 2021. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. And Ignacy, my new title is Tabletop Legend Stephen Bonacore. I don't know if you know that. That's my official new title. How long do you think it will be until Tom Vasel actually uses that title for me? Maybe when hell freezes over. So I don't know if you have any idea why I just said that.
I saw this, and I knew it will haunt me for years now.
Haunt you? Haunt Tom Vasel for years. That goes without saying. So it's funny. So what happened was, and we're going to talk a lot about where this happened, but I reported for the first time. I was the first one to report on this, apparently, about Asmodee being sold again. And we're going to talk about it in very big detail during the event deck. So I was then quoted because I posted it on Facebook, I posted it on Twitter, and I posted the links to the websites that had it. And then Tech Raptor, a website called Tech Raptor, which I've heard of, but I don't really know. And I think they do other things besides board gaming. I know they do. They quoted like, this was reported first by Tabletop Legend Stephen Bonacore. Tom texts me immediately after that, says, I will never call you Tabletop Legend. So it was absolutely crazy.
These days, I have no clue how these journalists build these headlines. Something went out of the control here.
Great stuff. So before we talk too much about all that, why don't you tell us what's happening over at Portal Games?
Yeah, we have this tradition, especially this year at Board Games Insider. Then we have a break in recording, like 2-week break, when something important happens at Portal Games. So we already missed a pre-order for Dune when I was running them for 3 weeks, and we were not recording accidentally. And now, once again, we had a break in recording due to travels and sickness, etc., when I had a Game Phone campaign for 11. So I'm happy to report that this campaign is over now when you're listening to this. But of course, it was very successful, even though we didn't report it on the Here on a podcast. So 11 just finished yesterday. We had more than 400,000 euro gathered, so a very solid result. And now, as with all these Kickstarters and game funds, marketing is done. Now it's time to work. So we have to finish the development. We have to finish the artwork. We have to start production, and the game will be delivered next year. So my part, doing the noise about the game, is done, and now my developers team is finishing all the stretch goals, all the mini expansions, everything that we prepared for the campaign. I'd like to officially thank everyone who was supporting the campaign, everyone who decided to try. Thank you, Steven.
Including me, that's right. I backed 11. I don't even like football, but I backed it because it sounds so interesting.
As we said before, this is a management game. You are managing the business, and
right.
And you will have a fine.
I will love it. I love it. I love, like, I don't know, Football Manager. That's the other game I forget. Right, that football, as in American Football Manager. That was a game, and so yeah, I think I really look forward to it. I love the stretch goals you added to it and things like that. So kudos to you and your team for all of that great work.
For the news of the week, we are obviously few days before Essen. The Essen is so close, and it is confusing for me, and I guess confusing for everyone, because just Gen Con finished, but because the different timelines this year, especially, we have Gen Con, and right after Gen Con we have Essen. So I was really surprised by my employees when they said, Ignacy, Essen is in 2 weeks. I said, whoa, like 2 weeks? Impossible, I'm not ready. So we are running a pre-order campaign for our Essen releases. So you can double check portalgamesus.com and learn about our new releases for Essen, and you can pre-order, and you can pick up at Essen if you're going to the show, or we can ship it to you if you're not coming to Essen. This Essen, we have a very interesting, I would say, group of games designed by big names, the celebrities, because we have Bruno Faidutti's Dreadful Circus, and we have Mike Selinker the icon of the board gaming in America, Petty Officers, a new case for detective, and we have the one and the only Ignacy Dune House Secret. So we have a great 3 new titles. I'm very excited for the Essen and looking forward to come. We will discuss Essen next week when we will be 1 week before Essen. So I will talk more about this. But as for now, go to portalgamesus.com, alert about these 3 new titles, and consider pre-ordering them from us. As for what's happening at our HQ, Pledge Manager for Robinson Crusoe, it's time to finish this project. So we were a few last days for you to use this late pledge for Robinson Crusoe. We just finished the Gen Con operation. We will discuss Gen Con later in this podcast. So I will give you some feedback from our perspective, from Portal Games perspective. And we are finishing work on the first expansion for Neuroshima Hex app. So all of us and all of you know that Neuroshima Hex is a game that has a ton of armies. Last month we released the base game as an app, and now we have to just code these 100 new armies. So the coders are busy.
That's easy.
So the first army will be released this October around the Essen time, and it's happening. So this is what's going on. Basically, we were not recording because I was sick, Steven was traveling, things were happening, but my team was working. I'm very, very happy to have a team that is moving forward with all the projects here.
Yeah, and from me, obviously, apologies for taking that 2 weeks off. It was due to travel. It was due to Gen Con. It was due a little bit to Ignacy not feeling well the last time we had an opportunity. And now we're back on the time when we would normally record, which we normally record Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central European time. And if you're looking at the YouTube channel, and even Ignacy went like, where the hell are you, Bonacor? Because I look like I'm in like some cave. Maybe I'm like in like a jail here or something like that, old brick wall around me. Well, I'm in the Moxie Hotel, Moxie downtown Nashville in Tennessee. And what I did yesterday was something pretty epic. And I don't know, Ignacy, did you actually see Facebook?
I saw pictures. I didn't see the video because there was some lagging, because you sent me a link. I was trying to watch the link, but there was a problem with the transfer. So I didn't see the video, but I saw a ton of pictures.
So for those who are not watching this on YouTube, Ignacy, you can see what I just shared on my screen, right? So the Podfather here bought his dream car yesterday, and that is a 2021 Corvette convertible, and in yellow, Accelerate yellow. And I took delivery of this at the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I have wanted a Corvette, which is the American sports car, since I was 18 years old. And it's always been like the most impractical car you can possibly have. 2 seats, not exactly a lot of storage room for stuff. And, they were expensive, and they're certainly not cheap now. But I said, I am now retired and I have nothing to do except for relax and cruise around in a convertible in Florida. So I took possession of this car yesterday, and we're now going to drive it back. We're going to take like 4 days to get back home and stop in Huntsville, Alabama, and Birmingham, Alabama, and on the Florida Panhandle, and then Tampa, and then we're going to get home. So I'm showing pictures of it right now for those who watch this on YouTube. And Paula and I did this, and I'm just, it's so exciting to finally get this. This is actually the like hardest car literally on the planet to acquire. I had to wait 9.5 months to get this. You got to get on a list, and then the dealer's got to get an allocation from Chevrolet to produce. It's wild. And they had problems, of course. They just changed the model year over in 2020. They couldn't produce enough due to COVID. Then they couldn't produce enough in 2021 due to supply chain issues. So they're so far behind in trying to produce the quantity that they need. I've known people who waited 2 years and they finally got theirs. I only, air quotes, waited 9.5 months. So that was my thing. And if anybody wants to see more pictures, you can see it on YouTube, or you can see it on on my Facebook page. It was an amazing experience taking delivery at the National Corvette Museum, where they give you this kind of white glove service, and they tour the museum with you and talk to you about Corvettes from starting in the 1950s when the car was first being produced. So that's my big thing that I'm doing right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ignacy. Thank you.
Yeah, this is pretty epic. Happy for you. And once again, I want to say it very, very clear and loud. You are the best branding promotion of being in retirement. There should be some company that uses your example, how awesome it is to be retired. This is amazing what you're doing. After you left Stronghold, that you are living your full life, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Happy for you.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. So let's get, that's the only thing I'll talk about today. We'll do remodeling next week. But let's get over to the event deck, because we've got amazing stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right. So the first thing we need to talk about is Gen Con, right? Gen Con is one of the reasons why we didn't record 2 weeks ago. And I was there. Of course, Ignacy was not there. And I want to give you my experience and how I felt about the convention, and about us finally getting back, right, to a major convention, arguably the largest in the world, second largest in the world, maybe after Essen, and the largest, of course, in North America. So first of all, the attendance, Gen Con reported that it was about 35,000. That is, of course, down from 70,000 in 2019. Now, that was partly on purpose. They specifically said they're going to cap the attendance between 30 and 35, and they reported that it was 35. They wanted to promote social distancing. They wanted not to have anything too crowded. And I'd like to happily report to everybody that it was not mega crowds. Now, Ignacy, you've been there year after year, and those crowds in the exhibit hall especially, and of course, queuing up to come into the exhibit hall, were crazy. And certainly anything like that would be the anti-social distancing. However, these crowds were quite manageable. It was still a lot of people. It still felt the energy of the exhibit hall was still wonderful, but just more distance. Like, you could actually put your arms out, like, in both directions, and not necessarily touch somebody. And of course, 100%, you had to be masked to be in there. They were thinking yes or no, but in the end, it was everybody had to be masked. And then there were people wearing like little badges, like do you want to be hugged, like things like that, like hugging's okay, or keep your distance and things like that. So first of all, the spacing was good. In the exhibit hall, it was very interesting that the Asmodee group, Fantasy Split, Days of Wonder, all their companies, they were not there. They decided not to go. Now, they normally take up about 20% of the hall. Obviously not there. Other smaller companies had the ability to not only be there, but to shine too, which was great for them. Interesting thing, they didn't book 100% of the exhibit hall. What they did was they booked as much as people wanted to take. You could even take more space this year, but they said next year you're going to go back to your original. But what they did was, to keep that kind of feel of energy, they brought the back wall in. So that 25%, give or take 20%, that would have been, taken up by Asmodee, so to speak, since that back wall was brought in with pipe and drape, that's the stuff that separates the booths, that was brought in, it gave that feel of energy. So they did a great job to make it the Gen Con that we always know and love, without making it the insanity that was like 2019 and 2018, the last few years, when it just got way, way, way overcrowded. Any comments, Ignacy, on that? I know you weren't there.
I'm always skeptical, and I'm always complaining, but once in a while I'm saying the positive things. And here, after I read everything I saw on the social media, and after I watched Portal Games vlog, because Chevy, who was there representing me, he was doing a daily vlog, and he recorded a ton of footage from the show. I have to say, absolutely kudos in respect for the Gen Con organizers. It looked like a super safe event. It looked like people were doing everything with the respect. Chevy said in the vlog that he didn't see a single person without the mask. Like everybody was having the mask and respecting the rules, and was very respectful for the whole COVID situation. And so after reading everything I read about the Gen Con and after watching all the vlogs, I want to say super respect to all attendees to show that they are smart and reasonable, and board gamers have intelligence, definitely. And kudos to organizers who did it very, very well. So I'm often whining and complaining. This time, only good words for everyone.
Yeah, and that's a great, really good point to make. If you look back at the pictures, you'll be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't have a mask on.
Yep.
And if you do, they probably have a bottle of water in this hand and they're about to take a drink, as I'm doing right now. So very safe event. It went very well. And I gotta talk about the Portal Games launch party.
I saw only pictures so far. You looked amazing, by the way, and I have the video. We will receive the video tomorrow from Daniel, who was filming everything. So I will watch it tomorrow, hopefully on Thursday. So I just saw pictures and I'm waiting for the video footage from that.
No, I have not. Right. So I have not seen the video. Obviously, I experienced the video, but to describe it to everybody, I was in a suit because I was playing the executive.
And it was so confusing for me because I know you only from the convention gear that is always t-shirt from the Stronghold Games logo. And you looked so weird for me, but I guess this is like your normal stuff from the previous years.
Well, I guess I don't wear suits.
Yeah, it looked very funny when I watched you.
Right. So I was the executive. I was sitting in center backstage, and then coming out for me like a V on both sides with the two teams. That we had on one team, we had Paula Deming, we had Rob Rouse, and we had David Wainwright. And on the other side, we had Z Garcia, Rachel Blasky, and Russ Wakeland. And so I moderated the game because the executive kind of drives the game. So I had literally played it the week before at Dice Tower Retreat, and had so much fun with just friends that were there at Dice Tower Retreat. And so I was able to like get it in my head. I was even able to memorize some of my lines, unquote, because the executive, he starts out with like, all right, everyone, let's get this together. Time is money. Okay, first thing, we have the market research here we have market researchers just sent down the latest of what they want to see in the next blockbuster movie. So first we have to create a hero, someone they're going to really love. And then we got to create a villain, someone that people are going to hate from the first moment. And then you go through the game like that. So I was like kind of role playing the executive's role. And then we had it was just so much fun and great. And then of course, the people who were there got a chance to play the game. And I went out to dinner and had drinks with everybody else. And we had a fantastic time. So check out $1 Million Script. It may be one of the most unique and interesting party games that you can possibly have in your collection.
Yeah, and you can watch this on our YouTube channel, Portal Games YouTube channel. The design of the game, Daniel Stam, recorded everything. So hopefully you're gonna have a lot of laughs watching this event. And I want to thank you, Stephen, for organizing this, and all people who were involved and made this event great. And right. I cannot wait to watch it tomorrow.
Excellent. So with all that good news from Gen Con, of course, we have to have some bad news coming out of Gen Con. Some drama from Gen Con. And that is that at Gen Con, a certain individual was expelled. And I don't even, look, it's been reported in the media, so I'm going to use the names and talk about it, because I think that one of the things that we ensure that you and we're honest about the news. We don't sugarcoat. We just want to report on what's going on. So we're going to be honest. So the Gaming Goat president expelled from Gen Con after allegations of white supremacist symbols in his Kickstarter. Jeff Berggren, president of the Gaming Goat retail chain and franchise operation, which also has a game publishing division, TGG Games, was expelled from Gen Con, the convention announced, and Berggren confirmed in a Facebook post. The move was taken after a number of allegations of bad behavior by Berggren were posted to the Gen Con blog, including the allegation that a Kickstarter by the company's publishing division included a product cover with symbols associated with white supremacy. Quote, Jeff Berggren will not be attending Gen Con, quote, the organizers said in their blog post. We appreciate those who have provided information regarding the situation. We take our anti-harassment policy seriously, but we do not discuss the results of our decision-making with the public for the safety of all involved. But his companies, Berggren's companies, were allowed to exhibit at the show. So, Ignacy said that, this is another one of those situations where, we as gamers need to continue to provide a safe space for everyone, a safe and inclusive space for everybody who is a gamer, who wants to be a gamer, who wants to attend these shows. I'm a little concerned that about the way it was handled on some level, but the fact is, if they have enough evidence that this is the case, then the move makes sense. You can't have someone who if this person espouses something like this, to be at a convention with everybody else. So.
Yeah, I don't know this gentleman personally.
I do not know.
But I saw the thread on Board Game Geek with links to all the dramas and all the situations that he was involved with.
Yep.
And if this is like one case, we could debate. Maybe he did something accidentally. Maybe it was like a mistake. But
right.
Like this is a report of like ongoing stuff. Him being a jerk. So like. Good job, Gen Con. Once again, kudos from Ignacy, kudos from Poland. If somebody is a jerk, just treat him like a jerk. As simple as that. And kudos to Gamma, because they announced that they are not allowing Gaming Go to be at Origins as well. So if somebody is a toxic, don't involve him, don't invite him to our family. As simple as that. Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it. So here's the big news of this past week.
News that made Steven a legend of the industry.
The news that gave me the new status of tabletop legend. And this is that Asmodee is being sold for €2 billion. Translating that to Americans, 2.2 billion US dollars. Yes, go ahead.
Being sold means the deal is done or the deal is ongoing?
All right. So let me read what I wrote. I'm going to read exactly what I wrote because this has not been widely reported yet because it's in progress. So let me read what I literally wrote on Facebook and on Twitter. Breaking news. Asmodee being sold by PAI Partners, the current venture capital fund that owns them, for a reported €2 billion. Goldman Sachs, the largest investment bank on the planet, has been engaged to make this sale. This is an increase from 3 years ago when Eurazeo sold Asmodee to PAI for €1.2 billion, not to mention the purchase of Asmodee by Eurazeo in 2014 for a mere €145 million. These are astonishing figures and an amazing meteoric valuation story for the hobby game industry. Unreal. That's what I wrote on Facebook. And then people asked me questions about it, and I took questions about the individual components of that. But in essence, this is what's going on. So it is very common, very, very common that when a private company, how do private companies become liquid, and how do people who own them get money out of the company? It's like you and me, like you own a company, Ignacy, and you have a revenue stream from that company, but the value of your company is pretty high, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not going to mention numbers, but it's pretty high. So if you wanted to get money out of the company, you have to kind of sell bits of it. You have to sell the company to get money. In the case of Asmodee, they're owned by a venture capital fund called PAI Partners, or PI, and they're known for doing all kinds of things like baking cookies. As that's Ignacy's favorite thing in the planet, cookies and tea. So they're owned by that. They were bought from another venture capital fund. So now this PAI Partners is selling again, probably to another venture capital fund. And the reason, and you do this because your fund, you want it to get liquid again and pay back out the investors that own the fund. It's a cycle, especially with privately held, larger-ish privately held companies or startup companies as well. I own shares in several venture capital funds. We don't own anything that's of this size, though. So that's a normal thing. But the numbers here, are staggering. Staggering that Asmodee is now €2 billion company, and that has been a huge increase from just 7 years ago when they were sold for €145 million. And then even moreover, the company who is finding the new buyer, and they will, and trust me, they will, is Goldman Sachs, the largest investment bank in the planet. Now, if you guys out there recall, Ignacy, if you recall, I used to work on Wall Street in IT. And I worked for various investment banks, including that one called Lehman Brothers that almost brought the entire world economy down. Lehman Brothers at the time was like the third or fourth largest investment bank. Goldman Sachs has been the #1 investment bank in the world forever. To engage a company like Goldman Sachs in this sale is saying something. They're saying, we've got this thing, it's worth a crap ton of money, and we would like now to sell it to someone else who's going to own it and do good with it for a period of time. And this thing happens like every 3 years. So the company is not sold at the moment, but they will be, because Goldman Sachs is going to make millions of dollars just by arranging the deal. They've got a portfolio of companies looking to buy good companies, right? And they bring it, and then companies come to them saying, hey, we would like to, sell. And they marry those two things together. So it's a virtual guarantee that we're going to hear within the next 3 to 6 months who is buying Asmodee. Now, who do you think would buy Asmodee? Now, a lot of people are saying, well, it's going to be like Hasbro. I mean, they got the money to do it. Yeah, they do. But, Hasbro's in the industry, gaming. And they even have our games, right? They got Magic, and they've got Dungeons and Dragons. They got geek stuff. They will not be the buyer. And the reason is because they already knew about Asmodee. If they wanted to buy Asmodee, they would have woke up a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and say, these guys are doing some good stuff here. Maybe we should go buy them. They know about them. The company who's going to buy them will either be a new venture capital fund who doesn't know about Asmodee, but they'll look at the books and say, wow, they're doing great. Or they'll find a publicly traded company that might be like a holding company that buys various kinds of companies and have them buy it. I'm thinking still it's going to be a venture capital fund or funds that end up buying Asmodee. Comment, Ignacy, on this boring business stuff, which is earth-shatteringly important.
No, of course. On one hand, we, the smaller, the medium-sized companies, are terrified when big gorillas dance in the room because things may happen. I don't know. I don't have much knowledge about such important deals, but it looks for me that increasing the value of the company from 1 billion euro to 2 billion euro in 3 years is a quite achievement. So the books are doing very, very well. And me as a gamer, and we reported on this almost every episode, Asmodee is doing a good job releasing this new pandemic World of Warcraft, doing these Marvel things, doing these Lord of the Rings things. Like they have these 5 big IPs. They have combine them with these 20 amazing game sets like Ticket to Ride, like Pandemic, like Spotted, etc., and they are just bringing more and more value to average people and bringing our games to mass market. So as we reported back then when the whole thing started, we said it is good for the industry because Asmodee will go and bring our industry to more and more people. Now seeing these numbers, I'm pretty sure that obviously me not, but I guess also not you, we would not see that this 5 years ago, that we would talk these numbers, these high numbers. It's optimistic and terrifying.
Never, ever would I have predicted that this industry would have a company that's valued at $2 billion. I mean, there are many companies traded on the New York Stock Exchange, the largest stock exchange in the world, that aren't valued that high. That's really a lot of money. And, Asmodee has, there's so many people who crap on Asmodee on all levels. Publishers crap on them, distributors crap on them, designers crap on them. Everybody has to say something bad about Asmodee. And sure, there's obviously there's pros and cons of any large company, but net, you can't deny what they have done for themselves, and you can't deny really how they're moving an industry. They're just taking this entire industry like in a wave with them. I'm proud to say that I was part of this industry, and that a company like this can exist, which started as a nothing, really, like started like no bigger than your company and mine were when we started, like, or when like now, like right when I sold, or when like your company now, they were not bigger than that when they started, and now they are giant, an absolute giant, and it's an amazing success story. So the next thing I wanted to mention here is something you put in here, and we're a little late on the news, but it's an important thing. It's about the UK Games Expo, right? I love the little tagline that they had on their banner here. Currently the largest hobby game show in the world, because at the time that they ran this in the end of July, right? End of July, yes. First week in August.
Yes.
They were definitely the largest for the year 2021 at the time. Obviously now eclipsed by Gen Con's numbers. But they brought back they announced their attendance figures. Ignacy, since you put the story here, why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, it's very confusing that they put it on their official Instagram profile instead of sending like press release. But as we are reporting the news from other places, we found it. Yep. And the news says that this year's attendance for the uniques was 10,600 people, and repeats is 18,430. So repeats are the people who came for the 2 days, basically, and uniques are the people who came for the 1 day, enjoyed and went home. And these are the good numbers. These are to have 10,000 people at the convention. This is definitely the largest hobby games show in Europe. We can say it for now, once again. So as we were reporting right after UK Game Expo, and after I saw many photos from the trade hall, I was afraid that the numbers were much lower because the halls looked empty. But these numbers say it was a big convention. So either I was unlucky seeing the wrong photos, either people were just walking in a different places. 10,000 convention is a good convention.
Absolutely a good convention. It's a very, very big number. You had mentioned that the halls didn't look very crowded, but yep. Obviously there were people there. Their usual attendance is just over 20. So again, they cut it in about half. So maybe that's going to be the trend, right? Half size on these large conventions this year.
And they are already preparing for the next year. We already, as a publisher, received the first information, and my team is starting the negotiating. And if everything works well, next year Portal Games will be going back to UK Game Expo as we used to, because we really like this convention. It's one of the best conventions in Europe by far.
Excellent. So this is a short one, definitely another business one. It's Asmodee USA extended their credit terms program. Their extended credit terms program has returned. Asmodee USA announced the return of their extended credit terms program for friendly local game stores, which began September 1st, 2021 and runs through October 8th. Asmodee USA had previously offered an extended credit terms program as part of their quote next turn initiative from June 4th, 2020 to July 31st, 2020. This program was intended to help welcome customers back after the projected end of the COVID-19 lockdown. Eligible brick and mortar retailers may be offered extended credit along with 90-day payment terms on a one-time buy of specific titles. The titles in this offer have been curated from a list of Asmodee's most high-profile best-selling games, and these one-shot orders will be processed on a first-served basis. So this is Asmodee again. So we talk about that, you know, the good things that they do, bad things as well. But this is something that they're absolutely pushing for their US friendly local game stores to be able, who had obviously a really bad time over the last year, to now say, you know what, we'll allow you to buy these big titles, right? They're giving you the biggest ones, right? The Ticket to Rides, the Catans, all their biggest titles, specially selected. And they're saying, you can buy these as a one-shot time, and we're going to allow you 90 days to pay us back versus whatever terms you normally have, which is probably a lot less than 90. They probably give net 15, net 30. That's how many days it is until you have to fulfill that invoice. So this is really great, right? I mean, this again, Asmodee, say some bad things about this or that. This is again them really trying to help the local retailer, especially as we come toward the holiday season.
Yeah, and this is the moment when I say that I root for Asmodee. I understand that Asmodee is doing something great for our industry to grow it, and yet it is very, very difficult to dance in the room with them, because obviously if the store retailer gets the offer to get the pandemic, to get Ticket to Ride, to get all these hot titles and have this credit, they will not order my Dreadful Circus. They will not order my Vienna Connection, because the offer from Asmodee is better, and obviously independent publishers have no way to offer such a great deal to retailers across the America. So it is always this Asmodee, this balance act, like on one hand, understanding how much they grew the industry, how many people discovered board games by playing Catan or Ticket to Ride, and the other hand, daily basis fighting for the shelf space against this gorilla. And obviously this is very, very difficult if you're an independent company. But hopefully the net is okay. Hopefully there is more new people in the industry than lost shelves on the retailer stores.
Absolutely. This is a really interesting story that Asmodee Fantasy Flight announced Keyforge is broken. Dun, dun, dun. What does that mean? First of all, there's been very little release of Keyforge materials this year, right? They had something that came out in early 21, and that was it. And now they're saying, I'm going to condense this very long article that was on the Fantasy Flight game
so
site.
We can go even further, and I can share some rumors that I found.
Oh,
I don't know if we can afford the rumors in this podcast. But
oh, we can afford rumors if you like, but
yeah.
But I also
I
I also know the real story.
So give us.
No. Why don't you tell me what rumors you've heard first? Let me hear, and then I'll tell you.
I'm still working in the industry. It's very difficult for me to share rumors.
Is it really bad what you're gonna say?
So okay, so let's make it very, very clear.
But it's a rumor. You only heard a rumor.
Yes, me, Ignacy, I'm not saying that it happened. I'm just saying what I read in the forums. Correct? What I read was that one of the employees who was working on the Keyforge game got fired, and when he was leaving the job, he deleted the code that was responsible for designing new decks for the game Keyforge. And because they had no idea that such a ridiculous thing may happen, there was no protection, there was no backup software, and at this point, FFG is redesigning the whole program to generate these new decks. So this is what I found on the Reddit, that the one guy just killed the game.
And as usual, Reddit rumors are nonsense. It's not. That's not what happened.
This is the rumor that I found, and it's super funny.
Now, this is what did happen, and I did. So this is one of the times where I literally did not report this on my social media because I'm protecting my source, and I don't want to go out and just start talking about something that cannot be verified, right? So I can't. No one can go out and verify what I'm about to say, but I have a source that told me what happened. In fact, what happened was that Fantasy Flight Games, and specifically their Keyforge server, was the subject of a malware ransomware attack. Nice. They took down the server and they said, you pay us X or you're out of business. And they elected not to pay, which is a legitimate thing to do because these scumbags out across the world think that they can get away with crap like this. And sadly, they occasionally do. There's been some obviously very noted things in other industries, right? The
famous one was The Witcher here in Poland, the CD Projekt Red, the biggest video game ever, Witcher. And there was the same case, the attack was, and they said they have all the code for The Witcher and they're going to sell it to someone else if they don't get paid. And CD Projekt Red did not pay. They said they are not negotiating.
And they did not pay?
They did not pay.
Right. And the major oil pipeline or natural gas pipeline in the United States was hit with an attack, and it was shut down for like 5 days. Nobody knows if they ended up paying or not paying. Allegedly, they did pay to get it all started again, but whatever. So there's been major attacks on major corporations and smaller corporations, in this case, on our friends over at Asmodee Fantasy Flight, and they didn't pay, and all of Keyforge got destroyed. Now, I don't know why. I mean, the part about having a backup and not having a backup and all that kind of stuff, I don't know what's up with that, because when you have major stuff like this, you always back things up. But I don't know exactly that portion, but I can confirm through a highly placed source that it was a malware ransomware attack, and now they have to literally build Keyforge from the ground up. And that is a huge undertaking, of course, to have that happen. So it's sad that there's a lot of bad people out there. So, this is one of those things like, change your passwords and stuff like that. You don't want to be subject to this kind of stuff. So not good.
And yes, and what we report quite often, the industry is growing. There is more and more jerks around us and more people that are not a nice, friendly competitor, but just a scumbag. That's what's happening.
Yes. You use that terrible word too. No, it's good. That's not only me.
There's a lot of editing in this podcast because I'm coughing. So.
All right, let's get over. We could talk about a lot more news, but we do want to take some questions from our audience. So let's get over to strategy and tactics. All right, so we have Samuel Van Dyke, who's Stymie011. And he says, hey, fellas, the recent ruling that Asmodee, the recent ruling that Amazon has to be responsible for its products it sells has me interested. I had written off Amazon about 2 years ago for certain products, board games being the primary one. I have received several of what I believe to be counterfeit games and returned them for a refund, not replacement. My question is about the commingled stock. Is it likely that there are still many counterfeit products from the existing stock that have not been sold? It makes sense that going forward, the chances of getting counterfeit games is much less likely, but do we still have to go through the garbage before I can start shopping at Amazon again? So, we've covered a lot of this in the past. Let me make some comments here first. Amazon does need to be responsible for its stock now. However, it's possible that there are commingling that still could go on. The only time a game could be counterfeited, really, that it makes sense to counterfeit a game, is if it's a very popular game. So it depends on what you're buying, of course, start with, right? So Terraforming Mars was counterfeited, and then We went through all kinds of means to ensure that that Amazon would not be stocking it, including using their program called the Amazon Transparency Program and paying them money for this. Don't get me started on that again. But those things from Stronghold Indie Game Studios, Terraforming Mars product is not counterfeit, because we know that because we go through this program. If you're buying just some average new release, you're going to be fine. And at this point, almost everything on Amazon should be fine. Other sites, less so. eBay being like the biggest of the really bad sites out there. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. So, Ignacy, any other comments on this whole Amazon thing?
Yeah, we discussed this many times ago, and the message is simple. Support your local game store. If there is no local game store around your place, buy the games at trusted online stores. And if you see a super special deal, think if it makes any sense, if this is not something
right,
not legal.
So here's an interesting thing, and I don't have this gentleman's name who he reached out. I think it was on my YouTube channel, I think, and he said he wrote to me and he said, I've really had enough of you bashing people who sell on eBay. He's a friendly local retailer who obviously sells his overstock on eBay, which, by the way, depending on the terms he has with the people that he buys the games from, may not even be permitted per contract with who he's buying from. But I'm not going to get into that. He's selling games, legitimate games, on eBay, and he was angry at me because I'm bashing eBay sellers. He says he's got a perfect rating and all that. So my comment back to him and to everybody else is that that gentleman, that store, is obviously a good seller on eBay. They got 100% rating, or they always get somebody who's pissed off at something. They got a 99% rating, and they've been selling for years, and they've never been dinged on anything. I'm sure he's a great seller. So you got to do your research. He would be a legitimate eBay seller. The problem is eBay is rife with jackasses who are going to put up counterfeit games and bad products. So buyer beware. Do your research. Or as Ignacy just said, buy it from your local game store. Because if a deal is too good to be true almost, it probably is fake or not good or from somebody who you shouldn't be buying from. So I apologize on some level to that gentleman. He's obviously a good seller, but eBay is not the right place in general to be buying products like games, especially very popular products in the game category. If you're buying Terraforming Mars on eBay, that's on you because it might be counterfeit. That's all. If you're buying it from a friendly local game store, there's virtually zero chance that there's a problem with that game. End of story. Nick Angiers, he's at Maple Leaf. I know Nick. How's it going, Nick? He asks, so what is a board game reprint anyway? I've heard three different cases where this term is used. A game is, number one, a game is successful enough that it gets an additional print run. It is reprinted. Number two, there is enough demand for an older title that it quote gets a reprint. Or three, or the game is updated with new art and components, modified rules and expansions, usually called a second edition, but sometimes along those lines, I've also heard this called a reprint. Is there a difference in the way these terms are used, or is reprint sort of a catch-all term? Ignacy, why don't you start there?
I was very positive for the most of the podcast, and this topic triggers me. Maybe you can answer. I'm always
trigger warning.
Trigger. Yes, we do a reprint for Summer Game, and we found out there was a small tiny mistake in the first print, so we fix it to make it better. Then what we have all these people, not half of those people who bought the first edition, being angry at me that I allowed myself to fix this little mistake, and now all the new buyers will have it fixed, and they have this small mistake, and then I should replace the components and ship to them, and I'm like, what? Reprint is like literally, we have discussions in the company sometimes to send to print the product with the mistake just to not have this, drama in the internet. Obviously,
Wow.
we always reprint with the correction, but we discuss it, like how terrifying the publisher is from the customer who is angry that his copy has this flaw and all the upcoming copies don't have this flaw, and it is. Oh, you go.
That's
it really drives
amazing.
me crazy that people can be angry
You
for such things.
you went down a whole different road on this, because I was just going to talk about the fact that,
But you know what I'm saying. Yes,
yes,
you know what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely. The funny thing is, you're talking about, yes, you're talking about making that next printing of a game and
fixing a small fix.
And talking to Nick now and the audience as well as you, of course, you only do that with a successful game. So if a game is lots of games are one and done. You make a print and it just sells and then trickles out and it's gone. And it's gone from the world forever. But when a successful game comes and you put that out and then you want to print again, and you realize, well, we could clarify those rules a little bit better. For instance, it's a big one. And you put a different air quotes on different, same rule book, different clarification. There will be some people that get mental on you, as Ignacy is describing. Of course, Ignacy, he's a good guy, and Portal Games, they're going to take that version 1.1 rulebook and they're going to put it over, on Board Game Geek or their website, and you can download it there. Of course, no, you cannot replace the 10,000 rule books that are out there. Sorry, that's not the way the world works. You get the new rule book.
Sometimes I'm so hard pushed here in Poland, and we reprint more copies of this changed component.
Yep.
And we put it on our online store so people can buy it for the 1 cent, like because there's so much madness in the internet that I failed this first print owners, and this one change will change the whole experience. You talk, right? It triggers me again.
It's a trigger for poor Ignacy. I'll just finish the thought with on Nick's question there. So Nick, yes, the term reprint is used in various ways, and you've basically put all of them out there, right? So Ignacy was talking about when a successful game gets a second printing. Sometimes we'll just say, we're going to reprint that game. We're going to reprint that game. And we do that. Then the way Stronghold, remember, originally got its name, we went out and found older titles that needed to come back. So we reprinted, right? And then, of course, there's the other one where, you want to upgrade some things in the game truly, and it might be a second edition. Sometimes that's called. So there's no right or wrong terminology in this case. We use it in general, but normally as we use it, we're explaining what we're saying as well.
But there's always the situation that the publisher is always wrong. I tell you this.
In every situation, the publisher is wrong. That's great. All right, we are definitely going long this week, so we're going to go over to our play testing segment.
While Steven is correcting my grammar in my question today, I will entertain you with a history that we just finished the Kickstarter, the Game Fund campaign for 11. So I was reading a ton of comments on this crowdfunding campaign, so that's why maybe I'm today a little bit more whining than usually. If you attended Gen Con, what game was your best purchase?
Okay, yeah, I didn't get it perfect, but you got it. So what? Okay, I got it. Say it one more time.
If you attended Gen Con, what game was your best purchase?
Purchase. Like a cat. Purchase. There you go. Keep going.
And if you weren't attending, did you celebrate Gen Con by buying something online?
Very good. So that's not bad. We'll leave it. We'll leave that one at that. So for me, my favorite purchase at Gen Con, I'm looking over at Paula right now, who is also sharing this
And
Lovely.
you can share with us how many games you bought.
Oh, here's the funny thing. So we basically brought a second suitcase with us, right? We packed into one suitcase, more or less. We used a little bit of both, but essentially we could have packed into one, but we packed into two, and then we filled up the second one with games when we came back. Paula, what do you think? So this is the first time Paula maybe ever heard on the show. Paula, what was the best game we brought back? I have the one in my head because I loved it and I played it and I wanted to. Which was your favorite? Gotta be quick. This is live. Cascadia, she says. That would be also my thing. So I talked about playing Cascadia.
It's from Renegade Games, correct?
Not from Renegade. It's from Yellow. No. AEG. Sorry. I apologize to AEG. AEG. In fact, I bought a couple of games from AEG. Cascadia is a gorgeous looking game that I played at the Gathering of Friends for the first time. And in fact, I kind of put it in a pre-order with a bunch of other games from Miniature Market, but they were pre-orders, so it wasn't going to ship for a while. Then I went back and I removed that one because I bought it because I bought it at Gen Con. And it's a beautiful game of placing tiles and animals on the tiles to create the way that these animals like to be in nature. They like the salmon will have to be in a line like this swimming, and bears want to be in small groups and things like that. Beautiful looking, and really enjoyed it. And so I bought it there. But I also purchased, Paula really wanted Calico, again by AEG, which has a similar type of mechanic. You are creating it has a cat on the cover, which I know you love cats. You love, Calico cats. But the funny thing is you're making quilts, and the cats may or may not come and lay on your quilt, which is kind of a weird thing. But it's a very brain-burny puzzle, unlike Cascadia, which is a really chill kind of thing. So I'm not a fan necessarily of Calico. I can play it, but it's too many puzzles like at the same time going on. But she loved it, and she can play it solo, and if she twists my arm, I'll play it with her. But Cascadia is beautiful. So that was my favorite purchase there. Also, what did we get from CGE? Oh yeah, of course, Lost Tales of Arnak, which I had played at the Dice Tower Retreat and loved it. That's the game that should have won the Spiel des Jahres, right? Wait, did it win? It won the.
I think
Paleo won Kenner Spiel des Jahres, but everyone predicted it was going to be Arnak, right? So I'm going to be on Uli Blenneman's show this week on Friday. He's doing
on Friday. Me too.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to both be on. It's called Conworks. I guess we can kind of invite. Well, by the time they hear this, it'll be over already. We're going to be on. I'm going to be on before you, live streaming on his Twitch channel, and also one of the women from the Spiel des Jahres jury is going to be on, and Uli said he's going to be teasing her about the bad choices for the picks, but I didn't play Paleo. I haven't played it, but I know Lost Ruins of Arnak is very good and very thematic for a nice medium weight Euro. Ignacy, anything? Obviously you didn't attend. Did you buy anything?
I didn't attend. I bought myself a war game called This War Without Enemy. It is a 17th century in England war game. My collection of war games is growing. I don't have a time to play them, but at least I'm collecting them, so I'm happy. But I would definitely, I was browsing the photos of Gen Con halls, and the people were showing what they bought, and there was a ton of games bought. A ton of people were sharing the photos, and I want to be there. I want to buy all these games as well. That's nice part of being at the convention, just grabbing these boxes. It's a fun time. But Essen is 2 weeks, so I'm going to buy a ton of games at Essen.
Absolutely. One small anecdote from Gen Con that I heard. I spoke to my good friend Kurt Covert from Schmirk and Dagger Games. He's been in the industry for a long, long time, almost as long as you. He said that this was his 18th Gen Con, and it was by far his best Gen Con. Sales. We're talking sales. Sales-wise, it was good. And by the way, I also heard from other publishers that they were doing much better than they thought they would be doing. If not setting records, they were doing much better. If you had new product that people were hearing about, you were going to do really well when people were not spending $500 at the Asmodee company's booths.
Yep.
Again, an effect of not having the 800-pound gorilla around. All the other companies were able to shine. So Kurt was beaming at the end of Gen Con, which is really wonderful because he's such a good guy and I'm so happy for him. So anyway, all of you out there, if you attended Gen Con, what was your favorite purchase? And if you didn't, did you buy yourself something else in celebration? Ignacy right now is creating a thread on Board Game Geek in our guild, and go over there, find the thread that says playtesting with our episode number, and answer this question to you. In the meantime, let's get to the final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from our playtesting segment, also go to our guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. Also on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Steven's page, /Portal Publishing and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites are portalgamesus.com and podfathergaming.com. Go there, sign up for the newsletters, get up-to-the-minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, Twitter, you can talk directly to either of us. It's at Portal Games US or at Podfather Gaming. Same on Instagram. And on YouTube, the channel names are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and The Podfather of Gaming. We hope to see you soon. Convention season is starting. Europeans, go see Ignacy in Essen. Hopefully, I sadly won't be there. I really wish I was. Next year, I'll be there for you. Meanwhile, Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. And if you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Also, that great voice you hear doing our intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Ignacy, you're going to get better for me so we don't have to keep canceling this. I need you healthy.
If you're watching, guys, on YouTube, I can just show the number of pills I have here on the desk, eating everything to be in a shape for Steven and the rest of my family. So yes, I'm getting better.
Good. That's good. Any other news you want to report here before we close out?
Next week, I'm reporting about Essen. I can already tease that we will have our special guest at our booth, Bruno Faidutti. So if you want to have a signature from Bruno Faidutti on the game, visit our booth on our website. There will be times when you can meet Bruno. He's a charming person, a super funny guy, and you can buy. There will be a couple of releases from Bruno this year at Essen, so you can buy a couple of his games and then visit our booth and get signature, get selfie. Not get a drink, but
let's not go there. Ignacy, that was funny. That was unslavically funny of you. All right, everybody, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.